All right, the Punch newspaper is the first paper on our desk this morning, but don't forget you're part of the newspaper review, because once we're done reeling out the papers this morning, you can then call in and let us know your reaction to the headlines on the front pages. Very quickly, the Punch newspaper Thursday morning edition. It has the leading story, 2027 politics. Atiku-Tinubu face off widens over subsidy and 16 billion naira power projects. Presidency, APC fire back at Atiku over subsidy U-turn, thieves claim. And our restore targeted petrol subsidy, boost Nigerians' purchasing power. Atiku insists again. Also, Atiku's subsidy plan, desperation of the most pitiful kind. That's the words that's been used to describe some of what Atiku has said about the subsidy. APC challenge ex-VP to prove thieves' claim in court. What's that all about? Who is a thief here? Who is calling the other person a thief? Well, you'd have to pick up yourself a copy of The Punch for more details on that. 160 dead, 647 missing in Nepal, Tibet floods. And you can see pictures of some of the devastation and destruction that's been caused by those flash floods. It's absolutely heart-rending. And sadly, a lot of people have lost their lives. Our heart goes out to them and their loved ones. 2027 polls. INEC unveils governorship and assembly candidates list Saturday. INEC unveils governorship and assembly candidates list on Saturday. Watch out for that one. EFCC offers 5% reward for leads on stolen assets abroad. Federal government halts foreign scholarships, redirects funds home. Oshun poll, security personnel protest unpaid duty allowances. And at the bottom strip, we have Dangote threatens to export petrol as imports rise. 5-month-old baby, mother rescued from Lagos Canal. Also on the front page, farmers and herders crisis. Southern Middle Belt leaders reject federal government ranches. That are some of, or those rather, are some of the headlines on the front page of the Punch this morning. 0906 202 9933 is the number to call. We move to our next paper now.
From the Punch newspaper, I'll move it over to the Guardian newspaper for today. And this morning, the Guardian is looking quite heavy with the leading story that says, design flaws in new roads. Public facilities leave persons with disabilities stranded. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, and it's quite graphical to help you understand the extent of which this goes to affect the PWDs, as the persons living with disability. Now we have 35.1 million people, roughly 15% of Nigerians, 2% access now, but then roughly 15% of Nigerians live with disabilities. Yet, only 2% of buildings are truly accessible to the people living with disabilities. You'd see a circle right there, 98% inaccessible buildings. And you can see the tiny red line on that circle showing how little percent have access to building, those living with disability now. Example, tokenism, over rail access, steep ramps leading to stairs or heavy doors. I mean, how do people on the wheelchair using the crutches be able to access these buildings? When these buildings are being erected, they are being constructed, do they have a mind of people living with disabilities as well? That's what this picture is trying to determine now. Across critical sectors, health facilities, we have only 28% lack basic accessibility feature. Political offices, only 10.2% have a tactical signage for visually impaired. Digital presence, 51.1% political websites remain inaccessible. Access denied, basically to those living with disabilities. Barriers to barrier-free Nigeria. Weak institutional enforcement. Design stage failure. Beyond just ramps. How do you make it accessible for these people? It just goes ahead to explain the difficulties those on the wheelchair and others visually impaired and on others, struggle and find it difficult to access some of the buildings they visit, the hospitals, the political places, the political offices, the digital presence and all. But you can grab a copy of The Guardian to further understand that story. But then you can also let us know your thoughts on the story as well. 09062029933. Atiku insists on subsidy as presidency challenges funding, cites 19.1 trillion naira burden. Federal government unveils 365 million naira prize for outstanding academic research and innovations. Experts seek FCC PC's intervention as FAN defends e-hailing service ban. Federal government launches $1 billion scheme to support poor households. We getting the poor out of the poverty level, or we have more people in that space. Group condemns fresh petrol price hike. Demand audit of refinery funds. APC to reshuffle campaign cancel over pressure from North and Southeast. I remember we did dive into that topic yesterday. Southern Middle Belt leaders reject federal government's livestock scheme. EFCC recovered over $500 million cash assets in 3 years, says the chairman, Olukoyede. And those are the stories you would find on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Any of the stories interest you, then let us know your thoughts. It is 09062029933. You can head over to our live broadcast on YouTube, and the numbers are rightly displayed on the screen. Or you can head over to the YouTube channel, go to the comment section. You'll definitely find the live broadcast there, and you can leave your comments just by the comment section. But that's the Guardian this morning. Let us know your thoughts.
All right, we'll switch over to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. It has the leading headline, NFF President, other board members resign. Details on page 32, that's a big one. And of course, we have Tinubu receives NLNG management, and there's a picture of the Deputy Managing Director, NLNG, Olakunle Osoba, Managing Director and Chief Executive, NLNG, Adeleye Falade, President Bola Tinubu, Minister of Information. I'm talking about Mohammed Idris, and Managing Director, Total Energy, Matthias Boya, during President Tinubu's audience with NLNG management at the presidential villa yesterday in Abuja. Beside that one, federal government gives conditions to concessionaire on Benin-Asaba Highway. U.S. halts all immigrant visa applications amid tightening restrictions. Despite falling crude price, petrol hits 1,212 naira per litre. Bonny Light drops from $94 to 90 to $90.28. Depot price hits 1,735 naira per litre in Port Harcourt. Well, for our people in Abuja, what can you tell us about the depot price? Well, the report from Vanguard on that particular subject is that it's now selling at 1,735 naira per litre in Port Harcourt. 12 depots increased prices. That's coming from a report. Dangote Refinery determines market pace. Experts. Dangote Refinery expresses concern over importation. NSCIA flays federal government over Niger terror attacks. Iran's Hormuz blockade will worsen food crisis in Nigeria, and others. U.S. warns. $16 billion per sector expenditure. Produce evidence against me. Atiku tax Tinubu. Also at the top strip, the federal government records a 2.18 trillion naira fiscal deficit in third quarter of 2025. Civil service must own its reforms. Digital tools, Wilson Jack. Civil service must own its reforms and digital tools. Wilson Jack, the outgoing head of the civil service. The Three Musketeers and the Lone Ranger. Two great African families by Ben Murray. Well, that should be an editorial there. Fuel subsidy. Atiku's third U-turn exposes political posturing. That's coming from the presidency. Well, that's a rundown of what it looks like on the front page of the Vanguard this morning. Let us know your thoughts